Hello, on tonight's show, we talk about residents in a care home as furry friends come and visit them. But we discuss quite harshly on the panel, are elderly really looked upon fairly in the UK? Also, we discuss the big C word, no, not COVID, but Christmas, as the government announces they don't know what they're doing about Christmas yet. But is it all too soon to be talking about it? And we finish on the subject of a doctor not really looking after his partner. So when that saying goes, trust me, I'm a doctor, do we really believe it? All that on tonight's show. Hello, joining me, Nicholas James, for the next hour with a cup of coffee and keeping you entertained is Claire Brown in May, Rachel Penny, and Anthony Walker.
Hello.
As we have discussions this week about a resident care home that brings animals to keep their elderly smiling, but are we doing enough in the UK? Also, fiery debate between four of us about the C word. No, not COVID, but Christmas. Is it all too soon to be talking about it? And we finish on the subject of a doctor poisoning his partner. So would we ever ask for a second medical opinion? All that and a lot more on this week's Loose Links. Good evening, panel. How are we all?
Hello.
Hi,
Oh, it's nice to be back again, isn't it, Rachel Penny? I swear you're about to take anchor because this is the second week running that we've had you on the panel.
It wasn't by choice. I've wrote
She's up to your job, Nick.
You just love it so much, Rachel. You love it so much. Thank you for joining us this Tuesday. As we always start off with, you are the fifth panelist. So we go to the polls of last week on what you guys had to say. So poll one was a reaction test for drivers or retirement age. Good idea. 86% of you said 86% of you said yes, and 0% of you said no. The second poll was, when convicted of a crime that means other countries carry the death sentence, do you believe that we should have this for severe punishment? 67% of you said yes, 33% of you said no. And the final poll was, do school uniforms give children a sense of pride and belonging? 82% of you said yes, and 18% of you said no. I'm sure uniform will come back up very, very soon, and there'll be an ongoing debate. But tonight's debate, we first talk about the elderly. So, Rachel, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this conversation? Residents at a Lincoln care home were treated to a surprise visit from two furry friends on Tuesday, as a couple of squirrel monkeys came for cuddles and playtime. Bernadette House Care Home on South Park are no strangers to wildlife visits, having previously had penguins, llamas, dogs, chickens come to see the residents. But that did get me thinking, and that did get us talking. So we're going to talk a little bit about the elderly. Do you think we do well in looking out for the elderly in the UK, Rachel? Do you think it's something that we're good at?
I don't think we're generally good at it, but you know, a lot of other countries, they look after their own families. They have them coming to live with them, and a lot of us don't look after our own. But then again, there's a lot of people that haven't got families to look after them. So you know, the thought of animals going into homes and care homes, and not so much nursing homes, but care homes, I think it's a good idea. I went to one a couple of years ago and they had turkeys come to see them, and turkeys are really ugly things. They're awful things. But they're quite, these two were quite tame. And they had chickens and monkeys, and they had all sorts, and donkeys, and these. What are you laughing at? You'd be grateful,
It's
Nick.
just the turkey sentences made me laugh. Really, not very nice looking animals.
They've got these great big jowls, and don't you say anything. Don't look like a turkey. Oh gosh, I'm digging myself a big hole here, aren't I? We'll get on to the Christmas thing, I think, with Anthony in a minute. That's
too early to start talking about turkeys.
No, but generally, getting onto a serious side of this, I do think that there's a lot of money involved, a lot of business involved with care homes and nursing homes. 15.9 billion a year is worth, and that's a lot of money. And I did some figures today when I knew that there was something similar like this going to be talked about. I thought to myself, well, because my mum wasn't in her home, she stayed here in her own home, which I think fundamentally, if you've got dementia or Alzheimer's, which is a growing concern, it's growing every year. There's more and more people that, suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's every year. But I find that if you're in your own home, that's one less stress. That's one less worry for the person that's actually suffering with it. Because one thing that happens is that they like familiarity. And my mum thought she was going home all the time. She kept packing a case. And even though she was at home, but she felt secure still. She was happy, always had a smile on her face. And so if you put into a home, it's got to be a home. It's got to be somewhere where they feel safe and secure and loved. And if they haven't got that security, with the nursing staff, and which there are a lot of nursing staff and caring staff that do the job because it's a job. It's not just a job to them. It's a vocation. Lots of caring people, but there are some that don't get paid enough. Absolutely don't get paid enough, and so you're leaving your loved ones in the hands of people that don't really, give two hoots whether they're there or not. It's just a job. But there's too much money in it. There's too much money creamed off the top, I think, quite honestly. And if they can make days like this, which could become quite expensive, getting people in with all animals and what have you.
But it's like everything, Rachel, isn't it? The elderly and money. Of course, everything is about money, and we're supposed to look after our elderly. But if you want them to go into a care home, you have to pay. And like you say, it's a lot of money. But then if you are on benefits, the government says that you only need £62 a week to live on. But when you go into a care home, okay, you're paying them for that other person to look after you. It's what, £800 or something a week? Yeah. You then look at the old age pensioners, bless them, who are living on their own. And some of them, can't even afford to put the heating on. And then you go to prison, not that I ever have, you get 3 hot meals a day, you get a roof over your head, you've got heat, do you know what I mean? It's just, why? Is it just this country?
Well,
yeah, the whole system's wrong. Unfortunately, the world evolves around money nowadays. And at the end of the day, a care home's a business. I don't know, people who run care homes probably know nothing about it. They're just probably business people. They stick a manager in. And if they can get away with paying people at the lowest rate possible, they will do. Because at the end of the day, their aim is to make as much money as possible.
On an average, there's about, I was looking at it, on average, there's about 36 residents per care home. And that's on average about 31,000 a year per person. Now, that's a hell of a lot of money, going into the coffers of somebody. And so if you're not using that money to look after them, where's it going?
Just go to their own care homes, isn't it? They're making the money. They're the ones with the flash cars, big houses, expensive holidays.
And the ones that are actually doing the caring and the hard work, they're getting something like £9.50 an hour.
Wage, which is completely wrong.
Yeah, looking
well, you know, I'm always talking about, and I didn't talk about this in the green room because obviously I watched it last night, but there's a lot of people that have put on Facebook and on social media and stuff like that about the TV drama Help. And I don't know if you've seen it, but it really, really opened my eyes. So it's a drama based on a care home that hits COVID. And it was heartbreaking. If there was some parts that was really enlightening, and then some parts that were really heartbreaking. And I will admit that I cried quite a bit through this drama. It really, really upset me, and it brought it home because it made it, because we've all experienced it, it was very real. It was very, and now we can only go, this is a fictional drama, and we can't actually state that this happened. But there was this man, and they were dying slowly in this care home, slowly dying off from COVID, coughing. There was rooms being locked, all of that. And there was this one night where this poor woman was on her own because they were so short-staffed, and because people were off isolating from COVID, that she was on her own in the care home. And this man, and you saw all the things that were talked about in the news about standing at the window and saying hello to your elderly and not being able to go in, and the drama made it very, very real. But there was this man that suddenly had COVID symptoms and was coughing and spluttering everywhere, and 39 point something temperature and all of that. And she phoned 111, and she phoned an ambulance, and nobody came. Nobody came because they were not priority. And priority, they kept saying to her on the phone that an ambulance would be on its way as soon as possible, that she had to make somebody that was a resident in the care home that was quite young. He was quite a young resident, but he was suffering from Alzheimer's, come and help her turn over a patient on the bed to make him comfortable. Now, I hope this drama really shakes up our social environment, our social looking at people for the vulnerable and the elderly, because actually, I don't think they were given a fair chance through COVID. And it made it very apparent and very real that the big bosses like NHS and NHS hospitals and NHS run care homes were getting PPE and all the equipment before anybody else. And people were dying in this. And if you haven't watched it, please watch it. It's on Channel 4, and it's a film, and it's about an hour and a half long, but it really opens your eyes. And it does make me worried for the future. It does make me think, do you think elderly, just because they've hit a certain age and they're in a certain category, and people think, well, some naive people think, well, they're going to die anyway. Do you think they're almost forgotten about and not put as priority, even out of this pandemic that we've had?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Without sounding nasty and horrible, you go in a care home, 99%, you're not going to come out. You're there to die. And my wife works in a care home, and she's had instances where they've rang 999, 111, and they've waited 12 hours for an ambulance to come because they're not priority. My grandmother went in a care home May this year, and she's 97, and I've only seen her once, and I put my hands up. I feel bad about that, but I do not like care homes. I don't, because there's nothing positive than morbid. You know, the people in there aren't going to come out. And I'm as guilty as anyone in neglecting the elderly in that sense, because I'd gone from seeing my grandmother every week, now only seeing her once in 5 months. And because I just can't stand the places, I can't.
I had the reverse. I had my mum at home, and I can remember the on the Sunday before she had the 3 days of end of life started, and with the ambulance came, and they came really, really quickly, because she'd just deteriorated overnight, and just like that it seemed to be. And they wanted to take her and put her in the wagon and do all her observations. And myself and my brother said, no, she's not moving. She's just not moving. She's staying here. You deal with her here, please. With that, they agreed, and they rang a doctor, and the doctor was on the phone to them, and it was brilliant. So it was so pleasant, so good. And the doctor and all three of us decided that what my mum's plans were going to be for the next couple of days, and then we started the process of end of life. And it's what she needed, but she needed to be in her own home, and that's where she was for the next 3 days. And I would never have ever changed that, although I couldn't have passed it on to anybody else. I just couldn't have done it. And I had this little bird on my shoulder saying, you know, you've got to keep going. And my brother did as well, and we both did it together. So it was, you know, but my mum never wanted to go in a care home, but she never wanted to be a burden either. So you've got that decision you've got to make for yourself. But it's not easy. It took a lot of my health away, and it's not something that you could be done. But I didn't have a career or anything. I was retired. I'd retired 5 years ago, so early retirement. So it was probably easier for me. But there's a lot of people who have more responsibilities in life, and so they opt for the next best thing and look for a good, decent care home. Well, they hope they do, don't they?
Yeah, it's one of them things. You can say what you're going to do or what you would do, but until it actually happens, like what happened to you, you haven't got a clue you're going to do. But I totally agree with you. If someone been in the home all their life, if they know they're dying, they want to be in familiar places. They want to see the people who they know. They want to see the things in the room. The last thing, I'd hate to think that if I was dying, I ended up in some strange ward in the hospital or in a care home, which was alien to me. I want to be in my surroundings I've worked hard all my life to get, as such.
Do you feel, though, that people at a certain age are forgotten and not heard? When you hit a certain age, do you think there's an age category where people feel forgotten?
Yeah, I think so, personally. Again, is it an age thing, or again, is it if somebody's got dementia or Alzheimer's and things like that? I don't think there is enough understanding of it, and also we're not educated enough. Unless I think you've been in that situation, you don't know how to deal with it. And like Rachel said, you know, she never blinked an eye that she would, you know, care for her mother. But like I say, some people can't do that for forever commitment or even space. Like myself, my mum is now coming up for 76 and lives on her own. And I haven't got the space, but luckily I have got siblings, and one of those has got the space. They've just moved and they've made, you know, a room for her. It's downstairs with a bathroom, so that is absolutely ideal. But you know, if it came to the choice of when she's older, you know, if she got dementia or something, would they be in the same position to be able to look after her? I mean, if I had the space, then I would hopefully, you know, be able to say that, yeah, I would. You know, I've always been there for my mum all through, you know, growing up, even though she's been there for me, a lot of the time I've been there for her. But it's, you know, I don't have any education about, you know, getting old even, you know, and dementia. And it's like, what do we do? What do we do? All we want to do is look after our older relatives or, you know, our parents. And we would prefer them to be at home with us. But it's not always that easy. But then can we afford for them to go into a care home? And then do they get the care that we hope they would get?
Yeah, it's medical needs as well. You're not always lucky enough to get somebody to look after easy, like my mum, because some people need more delicate care. And so it's not always easy. And my mum was a little woman, very petite, so she wasn't too heavy. So goodness knows what would have happened if she was a big woman or needed more medical attention. I'd have had to have done something else, I suppose, like a lot of people.
Anthony, was you going to disagree?
Yeah, about the elderly being forgotten, because age is just a number. You're as old as you feel. So you can't, unfortunately, a lot of people do end up in care homes because of Alzheimer's and dementia. But then there's people in their 80s, 90s, fitters, people 20 years younger than them. So I think the problem is the older generation are not forgotten, but the older generation that are put in care homes are forgotten. That's what I think. I think once someone goes in a care home, they're forgotten. I don't know. It sounds horrible when it's your family, but if they're in a care home, they've got 24/7 care, so you don't need to be there all the time.
It is difficult though, isn't it, Anthony? Yeah. The thing is, the reason they're going into the care home is because one, they've either not got family to look after them, or two, they have got family, but those family members haven't got the time, to look after them. So yes, they're in the care home, which they're getting looked after, and that's probably the reason why they come to see them that often, because they haven't got the time. But then that's quite sad in a way, because this is sort of coming to the end of life, and that's the time, I think, when you should make time to see. But life is just so busy for everybody, and you would have thought though through COVID that this will be the time to reflect on what's important and what's not.
Yeah. But do you think it divides us as a nation though? And it's a lot to do with, we work hard all our lives. We try and build our lives. We try and build to be better. We try and build to make ourselves better. But then it falls into a category of wealth. If you can be supported in a care home, if you hit a certain mileage of money, that money is then goes to your care and looking after you and stuff like that. But if you fall under that category, you are supported in that care home by local authority and stuff like that. Do you think that is wrong? Do you think the wealth divide should be completely not taking into consideration how much you earn in the bank and how much you've saved? Because the thing is, it's a bit like saying, well, you're good enough and you're not. Do you feel that's true?
Yes, I do. For the life of me, I can't understand anyone who wants to work hard all their life and be successful, and end up with money to have it all took off you when you need, through probably no fault of your own, to go into a home. Whereas you can have someone who's never done a day's work in all their life receive exactly the same treatment as the other person, free of charge as such, from the government.
It's not even that, Anthony. I'm not even categorising into those areas, but you could still work, or you could still work hard all your life.
Oh yeah, you could.
Look at the care sector. We've just talked about the care sector and not being paid enough, really, for what they're doing. And if they've worked caring for people all their lives, and then they get to the age where they need looking after, and because they've spent their wages on just surviving and living, that they have to be in that category where they are supported by local authority to be put here, now and anywhere. And I don't think that's fair.
No, I totally agree with you with that. That was just an example. Everyone should be on the same level playing field, regardless of how successful you are in life, with wealth, or if you've just plodded along all your life, making ends meet, because that is the only way you've been able to survive. You should be on a level playing field. I just can't see how. I don't know. Everyone who goes into care should be on a level playing field, and they're not.
They all should get the same amount of dipping into the pot as anybody else, because in England you've got to have 23,250 quid. in the bank before anything that and over is taken off for fully funded. And then you've got Wales, I think 50,000 you have to be in Wales, and then Scotland 28,750, something like that. It's ludicrous. Why they're two poorer countries to us, and they can have more in the bank than we can. But everyone should have the same dip in the pot, and then funded by the state or the local authority.
Well, I'm sure it's a subject that will keep coming up, and we will keep discussing, because it's a hard subject for everybody out there, and I'm sure everybody has experienced social care in some sort of way. Please have your opinion on our discussion. See what you think. Do you think everybody should be open to the pot of money of being supported when it comes to care? And let's hope that COVID has really made a difference and opened their eyes to the big wigs when it comes to social care. Let's hope there's a difference within the next year. Stay tuned as we talk about very soon about a doctor trying to poison their own partner. So would you be satisfied if somebody said to you, I'm a doctor, trust me? And would you ever reach out for a second medical opinion? Fiery debates on that. But we move on to our most fiery debate of the night, which is the big C word. No, I'm not talking COVID. I'm talking Christmas. So as the government releases more COVID infection rates throughout Greater Lincolnshire, authorities have climbed the nation's ranking over the past few days as the Prime Minister confirms there are no plans to cancel Christmas yet. So when it comes to Christmas, even with COVID, do you think it's far too early to be talking about it, Anthony?
This is one of my pet hates, and I can't believe we're having this discussion. But basically, let me compose myself. Christmas, any mention of Christmas should be banned until the 1st of December. Of course, of course, it's far too early to be talking about Christmas. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone in 3 months' time. It's disgraceful.
Are you not a fan?
Oh, I am. It's all commercial. All about making money, isn't it? Oh, shut up, Nick.
I love this one.
I do in December, but not September. Ridiculous.
Are you just not a fan of hearing it in September?
No. Why would you want to hear it in September?
Bit of Mariah.
Why would you want to hear it in September? Christmas should be banned, full stop, till the 1st of December.
What do we think, ladies? Are we in Anthony's vote of no Christmas till December? Go on, Claire, give us your view.
Speechless.
Well, with being a busy parent, a working parent of 2 young children, I think that, I didn't used to think, but, you have to grab your Christmas experiences when you can, as in going shopping and getting your cards, your wrapping paper. I didn't used to think that, because I just thought, really, you just come off your summer holidays, you got, I wouldn't say bikini body, but, all nice and tanned, and then you're thinking of Santa and snowmen and things and Christmas trees. But I just think, for busy people, you can plan. You can write a list and think, right, so, and budget as well. People who get paid monthly can think, right, I will get this, that, and that. So, no, I mean, the shops the other day, and yeah, you've got a little bit of Halloween stuff on one side and you've got Christmas on the other. So, some people are bigger entertainers of the Halloween, so you go there, or the Christmas, you go there. Or if you're like me, you go there. And it's like, yeah, but we're not all the same, but I'm not bah humbug like some.
I think it should, realistically, I think as soon as Halloween and bonfire night is gone, then probably start seriously. But I do think it's a bit early September, because look how pleasant it is outside. People are still wearing shorts and t-shirts. But I do like Christmas. I do like, starting a little bit early.
Or in September, or the fluffy things come out. You get your fluffy pajamas and your fluffy slippers. So if you want to buy them for Christmas, they're there, because usually throughout the rest, even if you get to summertime, like we haven't had the best of summer, you can't find those fluffies because they don't sell them until September.
I'm just doing the Christmas list. Fluffy pajamas.
Fluffy pajamas and fluffy slippers. I mean, not everybody likes them. Women of a certain age are getting a bit older and they're getting a bit hotter, with things going on. So we probably don't want
those. Whole different topic.
You don't want those. Stop it. We don't want no fluffies. But, that's just my opinion. I agree with Rachel.
That's just the way I am.
I agree with Rachel. Yes, maybe because there is a lot of other things coming on. There is Halloween, which is only a one-day thing. There is bonfire night, which is a one-day thing. The thing is with Christmas, okay, it is the one day, but it is celebrated like 12 days of Christmas. It is a lot of people.
Exactly, not 3 months of Christmas.
Not 3 months. Not 3 months.
No, we're not celebrating it. We have to organise. It's about organisation and lists to get ready for the big day.
Well, what about doing lists from the 1st of December to the 23rd of December? Why do you have to do a list in September, October, November?
Because then when I get paid in September, I think, right, I'm going to go and get my Christmas cards and my wrapping paper. Right? That's what I'm going to get. Or if one of the children has said they would prefer whatever for Christmas and it's there, yes, I can. It's on my list. I can get you. If I leave everything until the 1st of December, like on whatever kiddie programs there are, what's the toy of the year? You leave it till then, it's gone. Not good.
If you buy presents in September, they've gone off the idea by Christmas, and then
they're having it. If they've asked for it, they're having it.
Yeah, but the thing is, as well, I went to a local supermarket recently, and I did go down the Christmas aisle, but I was looking. My best friend was talking to me about this as well. Actually, looking at stuff for Christmas, preparing biscuits and stuff like that. But I was looking at picking up this pack of biscuits, and it's out of date in November, so they're not even lasting till blooming Christmas Day. So they're getting stuff out at the moment to prepare you for Christmas, but it goes out of date in November. How does that make any sense?
Because like everything else, it's all about money.
Come on, Claire, what was you going to say?
No, I'm agreeing with him. It is all about money.
But
people like to get those in because they like chocolates and they like biscuits. So they have a couple and a couple. So when they're dressing up as Santa, they've got the tummy to or a snowman. They're ready.
But ladies, are you ladies that watch these blooming TV programs that start in September, like 24 hours of Christmas and stuff like that, and be watching Christmas films in October and November and snuggling down at an alley?
I am watching them now. Seriously. No, Anthony, you can cover your face. There's nothing nicer when you're looking through the telly, nothing's on. Get on my recliner, cup of tea in hand or something stronger, depending on what time of day. I can't think what it's called. It's only on Freeview, so 24-hour movies, I think it's called. And there's one. This is before you get to actually set Christmas time, because then there is a Christmas channel, Christmas movies.
Oh yeah.
It makes me so sad because everything's so.
Boy gets a girl.
Yeah, everything, and that's what I don't like, because I just think, really. But
what don't you like?
Boy meets girl, boy gets girl. It's like.
Oh, see, I'm not a fan. See, the thing is, when ladies and gentlemen, let's go around the panel. When's your Christmas tree up? When do you put your bush up?
I put mine up on the 5th of December.
Is it all trimmed and decorated?
Of course it is. I've got a bit of topiary done, and it's all perfect. It ends up by being moved around the room about 10 times before Christmas Day. And yes, of course it is. all nice and trim.
What about you, Claire? When do you trim and decorate your bush?
Well, it's a bit later on because I'm busy, and the kids do like to help, whereas before they did like to help, but when they've gone to bed, I'd move everything around. But they're getting a bit better now, and my tree will be here. It's usually in this corner here. Just have to move the table a bit that way so that the bush can be more, you know.
See, I must be the Grinch because mine's like the 23rd of December.
Oh no,
mine's up. And
where do you get presents that people give you?
Quite a few presents. I'm very lucky in that respect. I get.
So where do you put them when they give you them? In the cupboard?
I just put them in the corner of the room.
Oh,
I've got like an electric fire, and I love that. I love that the presents are under the fire, and when the fire's on, it's only electric, but it's still,
so someone's bought you a box of chocolates and you put them over the fire. Lovely.
Chocolate, who doesn't like it? Go on, Rachel.
Oh, Christmas bush. Oh, Christmas bush. It doesn't ring, does it? No, it's not a bush, it's a tree.
You tell them. Do you think supermarkets are getting absolutely ridiculous now, though? Like this year, things have started to come out festive in September. Do you think that is just way too early to even start thinking about getting your Christmas food in and stuff like that? Or are you a person that's bought it ready, all done by the 1st of December?
I don't necessarily think the food. I mean, a lot of people, depending on how many they're catering for, you know, it is like a family occasion. So if you're this year hosting, if it's going to be Christmas or New Year, then, you know, for planning and making lists, peanuts, sweets, chocolates, crackers, you know, you can get them in before, so that all you have to do then is your list for your fresh stuff, you know, and then you have to go to the supermarkets and with all those queues. But again, with the year that we've just had, I think that this year would probably be bigger and better for a lot of people because they'll be able to spend it with family and loved ones. Whereas, you know, last year wasn't quite as good, even though you were allowed to, but a lot of people weren't. You know what I mean? It just depends. I think it's always been September, which I've said before, you know, coming out of your swimsuit with your bronze body and then you're thinking of fluffy things or whatever you're thinking of. I don't...
I'm not thinking of fluffy things, I can tell you that.
Well,
look at Rachel, she's gone too.
All I can say is that some people, and it's not me, start Christmas shopping in January. You know, they go to the sales and they start. So, you know, having Christmas things in the shop in September is nothing.
Oh my goodness! Well, where the country's going, there won't be anything left on the shelf anyway.
No, exactly. But Rachel,
exactly.
Do you think the meaning of Christmas has gone, and people just go to church that once a year because it's tradition? Do you think that's right, or do you think that if you are going to go to a church to celebrate Christmas, why would you walk into a church if you don't believe and then not go to the church for the rest of the year and only turn up at Christmas time?
Well, the thing is, it proves a point, doesn't it, if they go at Christmas, that they acknowledge Jesus' birth at Christmas time and they go to church. So it hasn't lost its meaning if people just go for the one day, and if that's all they do, it's better than nothing.
I think the whole story of Christmas is forgotten, isn't it? Because Christmas is the birth of Christ, and unfortunately, because supermarkets rule the world, everything's commercialised now, and we're now getting Christmas stuff in September. The meaning is not there anymore. A lot of people just say, "Oh, it's a celebration, time off work, and a holiday."
Yeah, they do.
They do, and this is what I mean. Why can't they put the Christmas stuff out on the 1st of December? You've got 24 days to sort things out. People's got the whole year to save, put money aside. They've got the whole year to write lists. Surely, when it's dark and cold and probably snow on the ground, it makes it feel more special than walking around in September in your shorts and t-shirt buying stuff for Christmas.
Yes, but the snow might come earlier, and if you're not prepared, I got your
pajamas. Shorts and t-shirt.
Are your fluffy pyjamas ready, Anthony?
Fluffy pyjamas.
They will be, because I'm going to send you some.
As you can see, it's a fiery debate between four of us. So have your say. Do you think Christmas is far too early in September? Do you think that we've lost the meaning of Christmas and actually we should bring it back a little bit? But as Rachel is showing us tonight, I'm going to bring the love back into the room. And she's got a massive heart wearing on her sleeve this evening. I'm going to bring the love back into the room on a bit of a more serious topic to end with, ladies and gents. Let's see how you react to this one. A doctor from Grimsby is facing almost 15 years behind bars. We seem to be doing criminal stories quite a bit at the moment. There's a lot of criminal stories in Lincolnshire's news at the moment, after being found guilty of 11 offences where he risked his partner's life. So, does this story change the whole meaning to someone saying, trust me, I'm a doctor? And do you take your doctor's word on everything? Claire?
Well, personally, yes. But as for that doctor, he is a doctor caring for his wife. So you would think that he has her best interests at heart. You know, so for me, I'm not really being an ill person, so I haven't really been to the doctors. But of course, my son has been to doctors and paediatricians and in and out of hospital. So I would like to think, because they are trained in that certain profession, that they would know what's what. But now my son is at a certain age, you know, for him, he can, if he doesn't want an operation or something, then that is then up to him to say, yes, I want it or I don't, but he'll get the advice from the person who knows what they're doing. And you would hope that the advice that they are giving them is the right one. You know, I haven't got any other cause to not trust them, which, you know, a lot of people along the way maybe have.
I wouldn't. I think it comes with age, really, that you question medics, because when you're younger, you just go, you know, just go with what they say, because they are to be trusted, because they know more than you do. But nowadays, you're told everything, and you're told to make your own decision, really, whether you want this operation or not. And mainly it's because of the money situation, because if something goes wrong and you agree to it, it's not their fault. And you can understand it as well, because so many doctors and medics are getting sued for making mistakes. That I know one mistake is one too many, but that things do happen, things do go wrong. And it's not necessarily a mistake, but it's a unfortunate thing that can happen to some people. But I would always trust a doctor, but when you're younger, you don't think about your own mortality. But now you're actually given that statistic that you're likely to, or not likely to, 4% or 50%. You know, it's a bit unnerving. You're given any percentage that you might slip off the dish, but you trust that they know what they're doing. You know, so it's I would question. I would not question, but if I didn't feel comfortable, with a bit of age under my belt now, I've had a few procedures. I've got a few things, you know, wrong with this old body of mine. That's what I want for Christmas. I don't mind starting December with my list. September, onto new skeleton, new body. That'd do me good. No, I'd question it now, but you wouldn't do when you're younger. I don't think, if you're younger.
Yeah, the problem is, at the end of the day, doctors are human like the rest of us. We all make mistakes. We do. No one's perfect. Would I trust my doctors? Yes. If it hadn't been for my doctors, I wouldn't be here now. I've had 30 odd years of life I probably shouldn't never have had. So I've got a lot of time.
Can you go into a bit more of that, Anthony, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah. Like I say again, doctors do make mistakes. When I was trying to think now, 8, I started getting severe headaches, and I'd be sick and always have headaches. And an example of a doctor that makes mistakes, we went to the doctors. My mother took me. and said about it all and the limping. And the doctor at the time turned around and said, because my father broke his leg at the time, he said he's just copying his dad. He's imitating the way his dad's walking. And this carried on. And I think it went on for about 18 months until my mother finally said, no, I want a second opinion. We got a second opinion, went to a paediatrician at Pilgrim Hospital. She took one look at me. 5 hours later, I was in Queen's Medical Centre in Nottingham.
Wow.
And I'd got a brain tumour, the size of a large orange in my head. And I was within 48 hours away from being paralysed, weak and not being here. And they operated there and then. Luckily it wasn't cancerous, it was benign. They took it out. And then 18 months later, it grew back again. So I ended up back in there. I have a second tumour out, followed by radiotherapy. And touch wood, I've had 30 odd years and I'm still here. I have.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, so I've got a lot of time. And at the end of the day, I don't blame my GP for his comments of he's copying his dad, because they are under pressure. Even 30 years ago, the population's getting bigger. They're having to see more patients every day. No one's ever going to get everything right. You just pray that you are one of the lucky ones as such, where you are diagnosed right. I do. So yeah, I've got a lot of time.
Come on,
And that's
Rachel.
got fingers in so many pies, GPs, that they can't be specialists on everything.
No.
So it's
No,
a
and
situation.
I suppose it was lucky that my mother asked for a second opinion. We went to the Pilgrim and she took one look at me and knew straight away something wasn't right. Took me to Queen's Medical Centre where they were specialists in brain traumas. They scanned me there and then because they knew something was obviously wrong. And like I say, within 48 hours, I was operated on.
But that's it. That's when then no win, no fee comes in. Do you know what I mean? Because, you know, the doctors and you know, the medical practitioners are trying to do the best, and something goes wrong, which, you know, could not be their fault. And then straight away, there's another company on, like, to get money for you, you know, but they get a percentage of the money. And I think that's all wrong, you know, medical neglect or something. It's like, really? I don't know. I've not been in that situation, but I just think everything.
Yeah, you never think about suing anybody when you know, I had Crohn's disease, started when I was 23. And I kept going to my GP saying this, that, and the other. And then I thought I was allergic to being married. And I just got married. And then I had my daughter. And it's like 2 years later. Then I was asked if I was depressed. I said, no, I just want you to find something wrong with me because I feel like this. It went on for ages until I went in as an emergency. And they found that I'd got Crohn's. But I couldn't have an operation because my blood was too low. I had to have transfusions before I could have an operation. But this went on for a couple of years. And they always think it's irritable bowel or something like that with Crohn's. And it's a chronic disease. And that's another thing. I wasn't told it was a chronic disease when I had my operation in those days, 1990. Yeah. I kept going back to the GP after that.
Rachel, that was the year I was born.
Oh.
Your baby.
Milk and honey to you, isn't it? I'm
Always
not
been young.
Oh my
that was the year I was born. I'm not in the category of young anymore. I'm 31 years old. I'm creeping to middle age now. Creeping to it. Ladies, let's go a bit on what Anthony said. Would you ever go for a second medical opinion?
It depends. It depends. For me personally, it depends on what the situation was. You know, I can't really say until I'm actually in that situation. You know, more so maybe for my son, I could do, depending on what the situation was. And again, maybe for me, I don't know. I've luckily, touch wood, not been in that situation to even have a situation. So I can't say unless I was in that situation.
I did. I went for a second opinion. Mm-hmm. When I first found with the Crohn's, and I went to my doctors in the consultant in the hospital in NHS, and then I came home and I thought, no, I haven't got irritable bowel. This is one of the occasions. Now I went privately. I went for another, and I saw the same doctor privately, and he diagnosed me with Crohn's. He thought it might be Crohn's. Yeah, I saw the same doctor, but that was private, and he told me a different thing altogether. So then I went on back onto the NHS, and then I went in as an emergency. So before they could find it out for sure.
That's shocking, isn't it? And it's surprising that when you're funded to go and see a doctor, it sounds like it's very quick to send a patient out the door. But when you are providing money to a doctor to see you, that they might look into it that little bit more. Panel, do we ever put off going to see the doctor?
Yes, I do, because I have a fear of needles. Which is unreal after all I've been through, and I still hate them. Yeah, I should have gone for my MOT a year ago, and I haven't because I.
Oh, Anthony, do it!
I know.
Do it. All I want to do is do it.
I know, which is crazy. But then I've had 2 COVID jabs and not known I've had the injection, which is really stupid. So I really ought to put myself in. And it's simply because they've got to take blood.
No, it doesn't bother me, but like I say, luckily, again, I've not been an ill person. I nearly needed a blood transfusion with my firstborn, but needles don't really bother me, which is good because I do actually donate blood. But like I say, I'm not really a sicky person or being ill. So you know, I've been all right.
I'm always at the doctor's. I've got a free seat, but I sit there, but I look at the floor. I never look at a poster. If I look at a poster with an ailment on, I get it. So I don't look. I just look at the floor. I just look at the floor, and I do not look at anything.
Oh, Rachel, bless you.
I know, poor old soul.
Well, unfortunately, panel, that brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you for tuning in. You've all been amazing. Thank you for letting us keep you entertained for this week's show.
Can I just say one last thing?
Yeah.
We have a Christmas special. Just make sure it's in December.
You ready, ladies? Last line
is you.
Join us next week where there's a lot more topic, debate and entertainment. Will you thank my panel for this evening? The girl always wrapped up in tinsel, that's Claire Brown in May. The person that's always happy to stuff your turkey, that's Rachel Penny. And finishing with the Christmas Grinch, that's Anthony Walker. And making sure the fairies at the top of the tree is me, Nicholas James. Join us next week where we've got a lot more entertainment, keeping you entertained, keeping your knowledge in Lincolnshire's news. Thank you for being part of tonight's show, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Thank my panel. See you soon. Take care. Bye.